Here's Ted, though, in Hackney, always worth hearing. Ted, welcome, sir.
Good evening, George.
Good evening.
I wanted to follow up this business of the alternatives to prison posited by Kenneth Clarke. And I think, you know, with age and experience comes a little bit of wisdom, and looking at historic trends and what's happened overseas. When we hear it's a politician, I mean, earlier on you were talking about the hidden messages in the very subtly secreted away in the Tory manifesto was something perhaps suggesting that there was going to be a health service reform.
Yeah, but nothing like, they didn't indicate anything like this.
No, exactly. And so if we look at Kenneth Clarke's comments about alternatives to prison, and, well, yes, we must have a little bit of sympathy for the people in prison, and let's take them out of there, because actually they're really just mental health patients in hiding. They're misunderstood, and if we take them out of prison, and I mean, we might find that we can just put them in a chair and give them an injection, and there'll be no need for any bars or high security, and we can just keep them there, and they'll be better off, and it's going to actually cost a lot less money. I mean, I really think this is we're really on the verge of seeing a serious misuse in the future of mental health as a means to restrain people.
Well, that's controversial stuff indeed. Ted in Hackney thinks that many prisoners are just misunderstood, and that we can just put them in a chair and give them an injection. Though that had certain overtones or undertones that might make some anxious, Ted, I'm afraid to say. Now, Dave in Birmingham has an alternative to Kenneth Clarke's plan to halve sentences. Let's hear what it is. Dave, go ahead, sir.
Hello, George. First time caller.
Welcome, sir.
Yeah, I've got an idea, George, which I think would work better than Clarke's idea.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what they should do, for argument's sake, just say, I don't know what the sentence is for rape, but just say it was, say, 7 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what I think you should do, if the accused pleads guilty, then he'll do his 7 years. But if he pleads not guilty, but then a court or a judge then find him guilty, let's say we double the sentence to 14 years. Do you not think that's a better idea, George? Well,
it is an idea, definitely. One of the problems, though, that we've got, Dave, is that we've got the biggest prison population in Western Europe. Now, that either means we're the biggest crooks in Western Europe, which I don't believe myself, or that we're sending too many people to prison.
George, I'm afraid I go along the lines of, I think prisons are too cushy these days, George. A lot of people go to prison because of how cushy it is in there. I'm of the case, George, that I would have people on chain gangs breaking rocks or what, do you know what I mean, George? Not playing PlayStations and having computers and all that kind of thing, George. If the prisons are full, George, what we should do is build some more. You know, put our money towards doing that, not letting them out because they're too full. If you've done the crime, George, you should do the time, do you know what I mean?
Well, of course I do, and I've heard that mantra many a time here on TalkSport and in the tabloids and so on, Dave, but the problem is it doesn't work, because as well as having the biggest prison population in Western Europe, we've also got the highest number of recidivists, those who reoffend and end up back in prison. Now, Dave, I've got to tell you, as somebody who has visited many prisons, male prisons and female prisons, the idea that they're cushy just doesn't bear any examination. Moreover, they're certainly no cushier than the prisons in Italy, in Spain, in Portugal, in France. I promise you that. Yet in these countries, there are far fewer people in prison, Dave.
What about, George, when you're reading in the paper, prisoners, I demand my PlayStation, I demand this, and I demand my colour television, do you know what I mean? So...
Yeah, but it depends what papers you read, Dave. It sounds to me like you're reading a rather restricted kind of paper.
It's generally the Sun Trophy, George.
Yes, Dave, how did I guess that? Thanks for your call, my friend. I really appreciated it.